Shocking warning, billionaire ignores poor cleaner, then devastating truth unravels at 3 a.m. In the heart of the sprawling city, beneath the glinting towers of wealth, lay a hidden truth waiting in the shadows. A billionaire, known as Edward Blackwood, towered over all. His life appeared perfect, but what no one saw was the quiet, dust-ridden janitor, Maria. Each night from midnight till dawn, she worked tirelessly in the plush office spaces of his penthouse, where secrets whispered through the air like ghosts. Little did they know, this very routine would unravel a chilling mystery. Every swipe of her mop echoed against the marble floors, a sickening contrast to the luxurious appointments around her. The chandeliers flickered, casting eerie shadows as she worked alone, her heart pounding. The air was thick with tension, the way it gets before a storm brews. Just 2 nights ago, Maria noticed something amiss. Scattered bank statements, filled with monstrous sums, had slipped under the edge of a mahogany desk, covered in dust as if untouched by time. Why were they there? The ache in her chest tightened as she remembered the insistent whispers she had caught in the hallways, a talk of illegal deals, money laundering, and something darker. The clock struck 3, a chime that sent shivers down her spine. That very hour, a loud crash rang out, frightening the stillness into shards. Maria's hands trembled, gripping the mop tight. She didn't dare move. A door creaked open down the hall. Was someone there? Her gut twisted as she felt the weight of invisible eyes on her. Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. A sharp gasp drew her attention. The office door was ajar, and through the crack, she caught a glimpse of Edward, his brow furrowed, speaking urgently into his phone. The words they know made the hair on the back of her neck stand on end. Panic bubbled inside Maria. What did he mean? Did he mean her? The silence in the hallway felt suffocating, as if the walls themselves were listening, holding their breath for what was to come outside. The wind howled like a beast, but it was the unease within that churned her stomach. She needed to know the truth. But as she edged closer, the plan slipped into deeper shadows. She was a nobody, a cleaner, yet somehow entangled in a web far more dangerous than she ever imagined. Could she risk it? What horrors lay behind that door? The mysteries of the night loomed large, and the clock kept ticking down to the next revelation. The icy air pricked Maria's skin as she inched closer, each step threatening to betray her with a creak of the floorboards. Fear pulsed through her veins. She knew she had to hear more. With a final glance over her shoulder, she slipped into the narrow embrace of the dim hallway. Edward's voice rang out, sharp and tense. No. You can't touch her. I won't let you. There was a pause, a silence so heavy that she could almost feel it pressing against her chest. Then, if they find out, everything will be ruined. Maria's heart raced. Who was he talking about? Who could they be? Anxiety squeezed her throat as she tried to peer through the door. The flickering light cast shadows across the room like moving phantoms, but the more she strained her ear, the clearer the unease became. Another crash resonated from a different part of the penthouse. It was followed by a muffled shout. Keep your voice down. Edward barked, his tone laced with anger. You're going to attract attention. Just handle it. She stumbled backward, nearly tripping over the mop. This was all too much. Her mind was swirling with the weight of his words. Then she heard it. Footsteps echoing behind her. Panic spiraled in her gut. She darted to the side, merging with the dark shadows of the wall, her breath hitching in her throat. A figure strode past, his face partially obscured. The tall man wore a dark suit and moved with an air of authority. She couldn't see his features clearly, but there was something menacing about him, a predator stalking its prey. Maria pressed her back against the cold wall, her heart hammering as the figure proceeded further down the hall. When he disappeared, she took a deep breath, summoning her courage. She needed to know what was happening. Carefully, she returned to the door and leaned in. Slivers of conversation slipped into her ears, each word soaked in tension and urgency. "If this leaks, we're both dead," said Edward, his voice now a low growl. "We have to tie up loose ends." Her pulse quickened at those words. Loose ends? What did he mean? The room felt oppressive, suffocating. What kind of business dealings were happening right under her nose? Suddenly, the door swung open wider, and Edward stepped out, almost colliding into her. Time froze as their eyes met. For a fleeting moment, horror and recognition passed between them. He knows. She should have fled, she should have run. Instead, Maria stood rooted to the spot, paralyzed by the gnawing truth. Edward's face contorted with fury and fear. "What are you doing here?" he hissed, his eyes narrowing dangerously. In that split second, Maria saw something flicker behind his eyes, a hint of regret, or perhaps desperation. The air crackled with an unspoken threat as the world around her blurred, wretched possibilities swirling through her mind. But before she could reply, the hallway sound erupted in chaos. That same tall man burst back, dragging another figure into view, a woman, struggling against his grip. Maria's heart sank as recognition settled in her stomach. It was Veronica, Edward's partner. She looked terrified, shivering in a way that evoked both fear and confusion. "Edward!" the woman cried out, breathless despair echoing in her voice. "What are you doing?" Edward took a step back, his wall of indifference crumbling, leaving behind an exposed vulnerability. "This is not what I didn't want you here." The urgency of the situation thrummed in the air. Maria's heart raced not just from fear, but from a sudden surge of determination. Each beat urged her to act, to save Veronica, to uncover the truth, but before she could decide, a loud bang echoed from the other end of the hall, and everything shifted. The true horror of the night was closing in. "Run!" she shouted instinctively, adrenaline coursing through her as she bolted from the shadows. The revelations lurking in the dark were ready to be unveiled, but at what cost? She had stepped into a perilous game, and the stakes were higher than she ever imagined. What secrets would unravel next? The clock continued ticking, and the atmosphere thickened with dread. Maria was trapped in a nightmare, and only she could turn the tide. Would she dare to confront the fears lurking in the shadows? Maria's breath echoed in her ears as she sprinted down the dimly lit corridor. The desperate cries of Veronica melted into the distance, muffled and far away. Each step felt like an electric pulse of dread coursing through her legs. She skidded around a corner and found herself in a vast open area, floor-to-ceiling glass windows stretched before her, showing the sprawling cityscape beyond. The moon hung high, casting long shadows that danced around her. Turning around, her heart stopped when she saw Edward stride into the expanse, his face twisted in panic and fury. "Maria!" he called, his voice now a throbbing urgency, full of veiled concern. "You can't be here. You'll get hurt." "What's happening?" she shouted back, fear giving strength to her voice. "What are you involved in?" For a heartbeat, silence stretched between them, thick like the tension that filled the air. Edward's eyes darted to the entrance. The tall man might be coming, ready to enforce whatever twisted plan lay ahead, and Maria felt the weight of impending disaster. Just listen to me." "It's not what you think," Edward replied, his voice dropping to a whisper, laced with an undercurrent of desperation. "You don't understand." "Then help me understand." She pressed, stepping forward. His jaw clenched as if he was battling inner demons. "It's about Veronica. We're all in this deep. If she doesn't get out, if she's caught, it'll ruin everything for her. For both of us. Is it illegal? Maria shot back, her mind racing. Are you involved in something dangerous? Edward raised his hands, a pleading gesture in the oppressive silence. It's not like that. We did what we had to do. You don't know the whole story. Another loud crash reverberated from the hallway, and Maria rushed to the window, pressing her palms against the cold glass. Below, sirens darted through the streets, crimson lights flashing like alarm bells. They're coming. Edward's expression turned cold, our moments of understanding slipping away. You need to get out of here. He growled. You don't know who you're dealing with. Neither do you. She pressed. Her instincts screamed at her to flee, but something deeper hunkered down, holding her fast. She could feel it, an urgent need to protect Veronica. She turned back towards the entrance, heart hammering against her ribs. I can't leave her. I can't just let this happen. Before she could take a step, the tall man appeared from the shadows, his face stony and dangerous. There you are, he said, slowly approaching. The glint in his eyes spoke of calculated menace. Edward! Maria shouted in panic. In an instant, the whole atmosphere shifted. Edward's demeanor faltered, revealing layers of frustration and fear as he faced the man head-on. You said you'd let us handle it, Edward hissed, his bravado crumbling like glass. Suddenly, an ear-splitting crash erupted just behind the tall figure. Maria turned her head to see Veronica scrambling into the room, breathless, wild-eyed, and frantic. Edward! She cried, reaching out. They're right behind me. Veronica! Edward shouted, his voice unraveling in betrayal and urgency. Time froze. The tall man edged closer, blocking the exit. Maria's mind raced, searching for a way out, the clock ticking mercilessly in her head. As she exchanged glances with Veronica, they both understood the truth behind the chaos was boiling to the surface. In that moment, action was needed. Maria's fingers itched as she spotted a hefty piece of furniture nearby, a decorative table made of smooth, polished wood. It could provide the shield they needed. She took a step toward it, determination coursing through her veins. You stay back! Edward yelled, stepping in front of Maria with newfound courage, defiance glaring in his eyes. You'll regret this. Tension hung thick as they faced down the approaching threat, each second drawing tighter. Would they stand together against the storm? Or would they crumble apart, devoured by the very secrets they'd tried to conceal? As the tall man stepped forward, the walls of the penthouse seemed to close in, a silence so profound. It felt like a warning. Would they find their way out, or would they be swallowed whole by darkness? The tall man paused just steps away, the atmosphere around them charged with electric anticipation. His cold gaze flickered from Edward to Maria, lingering a moment longer on Veronica, who stood trembling, a vivid spotlight on her fear. Ah, the trio of confusion, he said, his voice smooth yet laced with menace. What a delightful surprise. You really think you can challenge me? Maria's heart raced. She felt the heat of anger bubbling in her throat. What do you want from us? She demanded, fists clenching at her sides. You, my dear, are in possession of something very valuable, he said, his lips curling into a cruel smile. But it seems your friend has put her own life on the line. A dangerous move. Veronica flinched, the realization hitting her like a slap. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I was just trying to help. The man took a step back, raising an eyebrow. Help? Is that what you call it? You've mismanaged everything. And now, well, you'll all have to deal with the consequences. Desperation clawed at Maria's insides. What consequences? You think we'll just step aside? We're not afraid of you. The man laughed softly, darkly. Fear doesn't quite cover it. Ignorance is a more fitting term. Before Maria could retort, Edward surged forward, sending the decorative table crashing to the floor before him. "Enough!" he shouted, adrenaline fueling his voice. "You're not going to hurt them." In an instant, the tall man's expression darkened. "You really think you can protect them, Edward? You're a pawn in a game far beyond your understanding." Pressure mounted as Edward and Maria exchanged frantic glances. In that moment, the weight of their choices hung heavily between them. What had Edward truly gotten himself into? "Why should we believe anything you say?" Maria shot back, though she felt her resolve wavering under the man's cold stare. With a wicked grin, he pointed toward the city outside the window. "Look out there. Do you see how quickly everything can change? One mistake, and your world crumbles." The sirens continued to wail beneath them, a constant reminder of the escalating chaos outside. The reality of their situation bore down on them like a vice, tightening and suffocating. Suddenly, a loud bang erupted from the entrance, rattling the penthouse. "That should buy us some time," Edward whispered urgently, glancing over his shoulder. "Time?" Maria asked, incredulity lacing her voice. "Time for what? To learn more of your secrets? Time to decide whether you'll trust me or condemn us all," he replied, desperation threading through his words. Veronica edged closer, her face pale. "There's no time for doubt, Maria. If we want to escape this, we have to stick together. Can you trust him? Can we all? What choice do we have?" Maria whispered. The weight of responsibility pressed down, melding her determination into a singular desire to protect Veronica at all costs. The tall man narrowed his eyes. "However this plays out, one thing is certain. You're all in deeper than you realize. You think you can play hero, but only one side wins." Edward stepped closer to Maria and Veronica, determination igniting in his gaze. "Then let us make sure it's ours." As the creaking door swung back open, the figure behind it cloaked in shadow made their presence known, sending a chill down Maria's spine. There was no turning back now. Would Edward's defiance be enough? Or would they fall under the weight of secrets that had trapped them for far too long? The fate of all three hung by a thread, stretched thinner with each passing moment. As the new threat loomed closer, tightening the noose around their resolve, Maria steeled herself. This was the moment. It was now or never. But would surrendering their trust be the key to survival, or the final act of their undoing? The figure stepped into the room, and a pulse of dread shot through Maria. The shadowed face slowly emerged, revealing a familiar expression that sent waves of fear rippling through her. It was Gina, the one person she thought she could trust, yet there was something off about her, something terrifying flickering in her eyes. "Did you really think you could escape?" Gina's voice was cold, devoid of its usual warmth. "We've been watching you." "Watching?" Maria echoed, her throat tightening. "What's going on, Gina? You're with him?" "Oh, it's so much more complicated than that," she replied, stepping forward with false confidence. "I'm here to clear the mess you've made." Veronica stepped back, her breath quickening. "What mess?" "We didn't even know doesn't matter anymore," Gina interrupted, weaving her hands together. "It's done. The stakes are high now, and you've crossed a line." Edward's fists clenched at his sides. "What do you want from us? You were our friend." "Friends?" Gina sneered. "In this world, everyone's a pawn. You couldn't see it, but I did. I was waiting for you to wake up." The room felt smaller, as if the walls themselves were leaning in to eavesdrop on their turmoil. Maria's mind raced. How could someone who had been by her side turn so suddenly? The weight of betrayal cut deeper than any physical threat. "Do you want it back?" The tall man's voice sliced through the air once more, commanding attention. "The precious item of yours? You can either hand it over willingly or we'll take it by force." "Item?" Veronica gasped, glancing between Maria and Edward, confusion swirling in her blue eyes. What are you talking about? The air thickened with tension. Panic tinged Maria's voice. I don't have anything. You're making a mistake. Gina stepped closer, invading Maria's space. You do have something, a connection to the truth. One that none of us can decipher, and you know it. Suddenly, a realization struck Maria with freezing clarity. The letter. The one I found in my father's things. The one that mentioned the organization. The tall man's lips twisted into a grin as though he savored the sweet flavor of Maria's growing panic. Very good. You've finally caught on. But you see, that letter holds secrets that millions would kill for, literally. A crackle of fear exploded in the room. The clock ticked relentlessly on the wall, each second a reminder of their dwindling time. Edward stepped forward, determination etched on his features. Whatever it is, we're not giving it to you. We'll fight you if we have to. Oh, save it. Gina spat, eyes narrowing. You don't know what you're up against. You're already fighting a battle in which you have no hope of victory. The tall man chuckled softly. Gina is right. Consider this your final warning, hand over the letter and walk away with your lives intact. If not, his voice dropped, hanging heavy with implication. You'll all witness chaos far beyond anything you've experienced. The room fell silent. Maria's mind raced with possibilities, with the looming danger sinking deeper into her bones. But as fear tightened its grip, a flicker of defiance ignited within her. We're not afraid of you, she declared, forcing her voice to be steady despite how her insides trembled. We've come too far to back down now. The tall man's eyes narrowed, and a sinister smile slowly crept across his face. So it will be a game then. I hope you enjoy the coming storm. As the tension simmered, the silence was shattered by another loud crash from the entrance, echoing throughout the penthouse. But what new threat was ready to join this already chaotic scene? And would their bond be strong enough to face what loomed ahead? Fear clung to the walls, a shadow among shadows, and Maria knew that every choice they made from here would lead them deeper into a labyrinth of danger. In this dizzying whirlwind of deceit and desperation, time slipped away. Would they find salvation together, or would betrayal be the very foundation of their undoing? The door swung open with a force that sent a cold gust into the room, rattling the loose papers piled on the nearby table. Maria squinted into the dim light, her heart racing, as a new silhouette emerged. A figure clad in dark clothing stepped in, tall and imposing, contrasting sharply with the splendor of the penthouse. What is happening here? The newcomer demanded, his voice booming like thunder, causing everyone to flinch. The tall man in the room smiled, clearly unperturbed. Ah, the cavalry has arrived. Do you really think you can save them, Frank? Frank took a step closer, eyes darting around the room, absorbing the drama unfolding like a deadly dance. Step away from them. Whatever game you're playing ends now. Game? The tall man chuckled, amusement dancing across his features. This is no game. It's survival. Maria felt dizzy with panic, a tight knot of fear clenching her stomach. She could sense the tension crackling amidst them, a delicate balance ready to tip. Who is this guy? Veronica breathed, her voice barely a whisper. Frank is someone we can trust, Edward answered, voice steely. He's on our side, at least, he better be. The tall man's eyes narrowed. Oh, I see. Another pawn. But trust doesn't mean safety. It means being the next target. Frank folded his arms, his demeanor unwavering. You'll regret this. Whatever you're after, you won't get it from them. Will it help now to brag? Gina interjected, her expression hardening. You and I both know the truth always finds a way. You think you can protect them? From me? From us? With her words hanging heavily in the air, Maria's heart thundered in her chest. A flicker of uncertainty crossed Frank's face, but he quickly masked it with determination. "I'd rather face you three than let them suffer." The tension exploded as the tall man's expression morphed, shifting into something more sinister. "Then I guess we have a standoff. But let us be clear, I'm not here to play nice." Just then, a loud crash echoed through the penthouse again, this time from another direction. A sudden storm of footsteps interrupted the charged atmosphere. Everyone turned just in time to spot more figures slipping into the room, an army of shadowy figures clad in dark suits, blocking all exits. Maria's pulse quickened. "What have you brought upon us?" she shouted at Frank. Frank's gaze hardened. "I didn't know they'd follow me. We have to move fast." Panic gripping her, Maria turned to Edward, who was already gripping her hand tightly. "We need to stick together. We're stronger that way." But as more shadows closed in, suffocating the air around them, doubt crept in. Would their bond hold in the face of overwhelming odds? Each step felt weighted, every heartbeat a reminder of what was at stake. The tall man laughed. "Run all you want. You can't escape your fate or the truth." With the walls shrinking around them and more enemies approaching, Maria's mind raced with possible escapes. But she knew one thing: they needed a plan, and they needed it fast before it was too late. As the circle tightened, voices blended into a chaotic murmur, and fear morphed into something more primal. What would they sacrifice to uncover the truth? And would they emerge stronger or completely shattered? Just then, a glint of something shiny caught Maria's eye. Maybe the key to their survival was within reach, or perhaps it would ignite an even deadlier chain of events. Maria's heart raced as she squinted at the glint. It was too far away, almost hidden behind the chaos, but it flickered like a beacon of hope amidst the darkness. Whatever it was, it could change everything. "Follow my lead," Frank whispered urgently, breaking through the tension. His voice was low, almost intimate amidst the mounting threat. The look in his eyes was fierce, determined. "Got it," Edward replied, squeezing Maria's hand tighter. They were in this together, no matter what lay ahead. The tall man smirked, leaning casually against the doorway, arms crossed, a stark contrast to the frantic energy swirling around. "Do you really think you can run from me? You're only delaying the inevitable." His words struck like a blow, but Maria pushed back against the suffocating fear. She needed to be strong. She needed to act. "Now!" Frank shouted suddenly. He made for the glimmer, steps quickening. Maria and Edward sprinted behind him, determination dancing in their chests. Together they rushed past the tall man, dodging shadows that threatened to ensnare them. Frank surged forward, reaching for the object. As he got closer, the shape began to take form. It was a small, ornate knife, its handle adorned with intricate designs. "What the hell is that?" Veronica gasped, standing frozen as if the weight of the moment had momentarily paralyzed her. "Not just any knife," Frank panted, lifting it. "It was my mother's family heirloom. It can cut through this mess figuratively and literally." A moment of hesitation froze the air around them. Gina's laughter shattered the tension, a chilling sound that echoed against the penthouse walls. "You really think a knife will save you? You're all out of your depth. You have no idea what you're up against." Vulnerable and exposed, Maria felt the anger rising like bile. "We're not afraid of you," she shot back, adrenaline surging. "We will fight, with everything we have." But as she spoke, a loud crash reverberated through the penthouse, as the shadows began to close in. Figures moved with malevolent purpose, their faces obscured but their intentions clear. "Maria, we can't stay here," Edward cried, pulling her toward the broken window, a more than tempting, albeit terrifying, escape route. "Wait." The knife. Frank was still staring at it, as if it possessed the power to unravel everything. Behind them, the tall man's laughter filled the room, dark and taunting. "You think you can make a stand? This is just the beginning. What you're about to uncover will shatter you. And there'll be no escape." With a roar, the figures advanced, their intentions sinister shadows against the walls now closing in. Maria felt her breath quickening as her instincts screamed that they had to act fast. Go! Now! Frank shouted, and suddenly the urgency ignited in her chest. She could see outside the chaos of the city under the full moon, a dangerous unknown waiting to be explored, but far better than the suffocating grip of the penthouse. As they leapt through the window, the familiar twinkling of the city blurred around them, the wind whipping against their faces, filling Maria with a wild mix of fear and exhilaration. It was freedom almost within reach, but that sense of security shattered instantly when the sound of shattering glass echoed behind them. The dark figures were right on their heels, determined, relentless. They'd have to keep running if they had any hope of escape. Hang on, she thought. What truth lay in the shadows that would surface next? What price would they pay for survival? And just as they hit the narrow alley below, a cold realization set in. The probes of their past might just be the shadows haunting them now. What if the truth was deadlier than they could ever imagine? The cold night air bit at their skin as Maria, Edward, and Frank landed hard on the ground. Scrambling to their feet, they wasted no time. They sprinted down the alley, their feet pounding against the pavement, echoing like a frantic drumbeat in the silence of the night. Where do we go? Maria gasped, glancing over her shoulder. Shadows loomed behind them, dark figures slipping through the debris. They were relentless. Anywhere but here. Frank shouted, gripping the knife tightly. It has to mean something, we can't just keep running. Edward barked, fear flashing in his eyes. As they turned a corner, the sound of distant sirens howled, blending with the chaos of their desperation. The city loomed around them, towering buildings casting eerie shapes under the moonlight. Maria's heart raced, a cocktail of terror and exhilaration surging through her veins as they darted into another alley. They skidded to a halt at a barred fence. Dead end. Maria cried, breathless. Frank glanced around wildly, his face strained. There's got to be a way. He swung the knife in frustration, its silver sheen glinting dangerously. Wait, we can't give up. Edward's voice quivered with urgency. He scanned the area and gestured toward a narrow opening between two bricks. There. We can fit through. With no time to think, they squeezed into the tight space, bodies pressed together. The air was thick and stale, and Maria felt a lump of panic rising in her throat. Would they even make it out alive? Once through, they emerged into a tiny, dimly lit courtyard. Breathing heavily, they dropped against the wall, trying to catch their breath. But their short reprieve was shattered when the unmistakable sound of footsteps echoed nearby. Did they follow us? Frank whispered, eyes darting toward the shadows. We can't stay here. Maria hissed, adrenaline burning in her veins. She could feel every heartbeat pounding in her ears. Just as they prepared to move, a figure stepped into the faint light, revealing the tall man from the penthouse, his smirk sharper than ever. Well, what do we have here? He stood illuminated, the moonlight highlighting his features, contempt dripping from his gaze. Running from the truth? You can't escape it. What do you want from us? Edward shouted. Anger flared, but Maria felt the chill creep back in. Let us say I'm more interested in that little knife you've got there, he said, his eyes narrowing. It seems to hold more significance than you realize. Enough games. Maria spat defiantly. Could he sense the fear tethering her heart? Oh, it's no game, Maria. You think that knife is a weapon? No, it's a key. His voice softened into a sinister murmur. It will unlock your past and with it, your doom. In that moment, a feeling of dread washed over her. The shadows began to shift, a feeling of something greater looming on the horizon. Run! Frank suddenly yelled, breaking the moment of paralysis. They dashed past the man, determination taking over once again, but Maria could feel the weight of his words hanging in the air. They barreled through broken streets, past flickering streetlights that struggled against the night, each step taking them further from safety but closer to unavoidable answers. Maria's mind buzzed with questions. What truth would the knife reveal? What was it that haunted her so deeply? As they turned another corner, the chaotic scene before them transformed into a deserted plaza. Moonlight bathed the cobblestones in a ghostly glow. But even in that eerie stillness, something stirred. A figure loomed ahead, silhouetted against the light. Maria squinted, her heart racing anew. Could it be a friend or another enemy? Whatever happens next, we need to stick together, she said, determination hardening her voice. And then, as if the universe leaned closer to hear their fears, the air grew electric. A shattering scream echoed through the alley, sending chills down her spine. What awaited them in the plaza? What horrors would be uncovered in the shadows of their past? Instinctively, she knew they weren't just running from their pursuers anymore. They were running toward the truth, and it might just consume them whole. The figure shifted, stepping into the light, and Maria's breath caught in her throat. It was another man, tall and gaunt, with wild hair sticking up and eyes that were wide with fear. "Please, you have to help me," he cried, his voice shaking. "Who are you?" Frank demanded, defensively raising the knife. He wasn't leaving anything to chance. Just a bystander." The man stammered. "I saw what happened. I saw them. They're coming." He jabbed a shaking finger toward the darkness behind them. Edward frowned, glancing between the newcomer and the shadows creeping closer. "What did you see? Who's coming?" "The man in the suit." The stranger gasped. "He's not just a regular guy. It's a network, and they're ruthless." Just a few blocks over, a loud crash shattered the silence, sending shards of glass clattering to the ground. Maria turned, heart racing, and saw a group of dark figures emerging from the night, their forms shifting ominously in the dim light. "Run!" Maria screamed, and without waiting for a reply, she darted forward, pulling Edward and Frank along with her. The plaza twisted around them, every direction looking the same as they desperately searched for a way out. They flew past old stone benches and potted plants, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and something metallic. Behind them, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed, heavy boots pounding against the pavement. Maria's chest felt like it was going to explode. "We need to find somewhere to hide," she shouted. They veered down a narrow side alley, the space barely wide enough for them to squeeze through. Their hearts raced in unison as they pressed up against a wall, just as the figures passed by, oblivious to their presence. "Do you think we lost them?" Frank whispered, his voice quivering, the knife trembling in his grip. "Not yet," Edward replied, panting heavily. "We need to move while we can." The alley finally opened into a wider space, but Maria's unease didn't fade. The fear coiled tighter in her stomach like a serpent ready to strike. "What do we do now?" "We can't keep running forever." The stranger, still trailing them, took a moment to catch his breath. "They can track you. That knife, it's a map, a blood map," he explained, his voice dropping as he leaned in closer. "You're all linked to something far more dangerous than you can imagine." "What do you mean?" Maria asked, skepticism lacing her tone. "It's not just the knife. It's what you've done, all of you. You're tangled in something that could destroy your lives." "What do you know about us?" Frank's voice was a growl now, the edge of anger mixing with fear. "Everything." The man's eyes shimmered with intense urgency. "And if you want to survive, you have to confront it. But you're running out of time." An explosion of sound erupted in the distance, a flash of bright light illuminating the path they had just come from. The shadows were back, closing in faster now. "We have to split," Edward exclaimed. "We can't let them catch all of us at once." "What?" "No. We stick together." Maria protested fiercely, but her resolve was quickly fought back by their impending doom. Without warning, the man shoved a scroll into Maria's hands, ancient looking, with strange symbols embossed on it. "This will help you know the truth." Trust each other. His gaze lingered on Maria, sincerity pouring from his wide eyes. Then he turned to flee, disappearing into the night. Maria, we need to go, Frank urged, grabbing her arm. What if he's right? What if this means it doesn't matter? We need answers, not just more questions. Edward shouted, grabbing her other hand. They ran again, the scroll crumpled tightly in her palm, heart pounding harder than ever. Was this the key to everything? And what truth would it reveal when they were finally forced to confront it, with no idea what awaited them? One question burned in her mind: were they too late to escape their past, or would confronting it plunge them into a darkness beyond comprehension? The city lights flickered behind them as Maria, Edward, and Frank dashed through the winding alleys. Shadows loomed large, their breaths heavy with the weight of impending doom. The pulsating fear in Maria's chest urged her on, a relentless drumbeat propelling her forward. Where do we go next? She gasped, glancing back to see the dark figures getting closer. Panic clawed at her insides. They had to find refuge, a place to regroup, to figure out what the old man had given her. Let us head to the old warehouse on 5th and Main. Edward shouted, determination sparking in his voice. It should be abandoned, but it's a good hiding spot for now. As they veered left toward the warehouse, memories of whispers and hidden corridors flooded Maria's mind. Would this place give them the clarity they sought, or merely trap them deeper in the shadows? Bursting through the creaking door, they tumbled inside, hearts racing and eyes wide. The smell of dust and decay enveloped them. They stumbled into the dim glow cast by a single flickering light overhead. Go! Frank urged, ushering them deeper into the building, away from the entrance. We need to find a place to hide. They found a large, empty room. Rusty beams crisscrossed overhead, and debris lay scattered across the floor. Dust particles danced in the shafts of light, creating an eerie atmosphere. Maria pressed the scroll against her chest, her heart pounding in rhythm with the mounting dread. What if this is our only chance? She whispered. What if that man was telling the truth? Edward took a deep breath, searching her eyes. We can't let fear control us. We need to decipher this, whatever it is. He reached for the scroll, carefully unfurling it. As the parchment opened, strange symbols and words leapt out, glinting like hidden treasures. These are maps, Frank exclaimed, studying the lines with wide eyes. Maps leading to something significant, something powerful. But before they could grasp the implications, the warehouse door slammed open. The tall man entered, flanked by more figures clad in darkness. Did you really think you could hide? His voice echoed like thunder, cold and unnerving. We don't want any trouble. Maria shouted, stepping forward, adrenaline surging. Just let us go. He chuckled darkly, stepping closer. You're far too deep for that, my dear. Hand over the knife, and I might be inclined to let you walk away alive. No way. Frank shouted, gripping the knife tightly. This isn't just a weapon, it's a part of something bigger. Bigger than you can imagine, the tall man sneered, his eyes narrowing. You think you can stand up to us? This is the end for you if you don't obey. Their backs pressed against the cold wall as a wave of defeat washed over them. Edward turned to Maria, desperation in his gaze. We have to make a stand. Maria glanced at the scroll, the weight of the prophecy settling into place. No. We're not just victims in their game anymore. We're going to uncover the truth. In that moment of shared resolve, Maria felt a surge of energy pulsing through her. She held the scroll high, her voice steady. What this man gave us, it's not just a weapon or a map. It's our answer. You think ancient drawings will protect you? The tall man scoffed, yet Maria could see a flicker of doubt in his eyes. Yes. Maria shouted fiercely. We'll unlock the truth that has been hidden from all of us. If you want us, you'll have to go through the fire. Suddenly, the scroll burned brightly in her hands, the symbols glowing with an ethereal light. Faces of ghosts long trapped in the shadows filled the air, victims and players, desperate for release. "What is this?" the tall man hissed, eyes wide with fear. "You've no idea what you're unleashing." Nor did they. The truth cascaded from the scroll, unfurling like a tornado. Their surroundings began to ripple and twist, pulling them into memories and unveiling painful secrets: the dirty deals, the losses, the lives forever changed. As shadows lunged toward them, each breath drew in the power of the truth, erupting into a dazzling light. In that moment, everything shifted. The warehouse trembled, the very foundations cracking under the weight of unspoken horrors being forced to surface. Shadows recoiled, falling back. "Now!" Edward shouted, determination blazing in his eyes. "We go forward. Together." And with one last push of collective strength, they propelled themselves toward the light, confronting their fate with renewed power. Each step unfolded a new scene, unraveling connections, and chasing the darkness into its hiding places. As they emerged from the chaos, bursting into a new dawn outside, Maria felt the burden of fear lifting. Yes, the truth was painfully heavy. But in unity, they emerged stronger, ready to battle whatever came next. They had faced the storm and survived. Together, Frank breathed, his grip still tight on the knife. Together, they echoed, pulses aligned, hearts ready. The tall man's laughter lingered in the air, but as they stepped into the light of a brand new day, they knew they were no longer just players in a deadly game. They were warriors of their own story, prepared to reclaim their lives. Before they could breathe a sigh of relief, Maria turned back, glancing at the warehouse. Shadows danced inside, waiting for the next chapter in this tale, but today, they were free, and ready. You need to subscribe now. Don't miss out on the next exclusive stories we have in store for you. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. And flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this intense conclusion. We want to hear from you. Instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this finale. Don't wait even one more second. Show your support.